The scalpel slipped from Dr. Daniel Hargrove's trembling fingers, clattering against the sterile tile of the operating room floor like a gunshot in the dead of night. "They're not mistakes," he whispered to the empty air, his voice cracking as the monitors flatlined in unison, for tiny heartbeats silenced before they could even cry. Outside, in the waiting room of Manhattan General, Alexander Kane punched the vending machine so hard the glass spiderwebbed, his knuckles blooming red as the weight of his father's words crashed down. "Those quadruplets? God's cruelest joke on a man like me." It was 1995, and the Kane family had arrived in New York like so many Midwestern transplants before them, chasing the American dream in the shadow of skyscrapers, only to find it choked by exhaust fumes and indifferent crowds. Richard Kane, a burly ex-Marine turned cab driver, had hauled his pregnant wife, Elena, across state lines from Ohio when the factory layoffs hit. "We'll make it big here," he'd promised her in the cramped Queens apartment that smelled of boiled cabbage and regret. But when the ultrasound revealed quadruplets, 4 boys, all tangled like roots in her womb, Richard's face had drained of color. "One would have been a stretch," he'd muttered to his buddies at the VFW hall, nursing a Budweiser. 4? That's not a blessing. That's a goddamn curse. Elena died in labor, her body giving everything to bring them into the world. Alexander, the firstborn by 2 minutes and the self-appointed leader. Benjamin, the quiet thinker with eyes like storm clouds. Christopher, the charmer who could talk his way out of hell. And David, the fragile one, smallest and most sensitive, who arrived last with a faint wail that haunted Richard's dreams. The hospital bill buried them. $250,000 in an era before insurance meant anything to blue-collar folks. Richard sold the old Ford, pawned Elena's wedding ring, and took 3 jobs, his hands callousing over like leather. "You're the reason she's gone," he'd slur at the boys when the whiskey hit, for identical faces blurring into one accusation. "My little mistakes. Draining me dry before you even learned to walk." By age 10, the brothers had forged their armor. Alex with his fists, Ben with his books, Chris with his jokes, David with his drawings. They shared a sagging bunk bed in the 1-bedroom walk-up, whispering secrets under threadbare sheets while Richard snored on the couch, TV flickering like a false hearth. "We're not mistakes," Alex would say, tracing the constellation of freckles on David's shoulder that matched his own. "Mom wanted us. All of us." But the words felt hollow against the rent notices piling up, the school lunches of stale bread Alex fought bullies to protect. High school fractured them further. St. Ignatius, a Catholic stronghold in the Bronx. Whispers followed the Kane quadruplets like smoke. The poor kids, the pretty ones, too close for comfort. Chris bloomed into the golden boy, quarterback dreams and easy smiles masking the ache of watching his brothers struggle. Ben buried himself in AP classes, dreaming of scholarships to escape. David, though David was the lightning rod. 14. He kissed Tommy Riley behind the bleachers, a fumbling thing born of confusion and longing. Tommy told, of course, in the locker room haze of Axe body spray and bravado. "Faggot Kane," they scrawled on his locker, and Richard found out from the principal's pitying call. That night, the apartment shook with Richard's rage. "One of you's a pervert? After all I've sacrificed." He backhanded David so hard the boy's lips split, blood arcing like a comet. Alex surged forward, 16 and already built like his father, tackling Richard to the linoleum. "Touch him again, and I'll kill you." Chris pulled Alex off. Ben herded David to the bathroom, dabbing at the wound with a washcloth that smelled of bleach. "We're in this together," Ben murmured, but the lie hung heavy. Richard stormed out, didn't come back for 3 days. When he did, it was with a bottle and a verdict. "Get that filth out of my house, or we're all on the street." David ran first, couch surfing with distant cousins in Brooklyn, his sketchpad his only anchor. The brothers visited in stolen moments, smuggling sandwiches and promises. Alex dropped out to drive cabs like Dad, funneling every dime to keep the lights on. Chris joined the Marines young, shipping off to basic with a duffel and a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Ben clawed his way to Columbia on loans and grit, pre-med track, vowing to fix what was broken. But David spiraled, hustling on Christopher Street for rent, his body a currency he hated spending. AIDS whispers echoed through the village bars, friends vanishing like smoke. By 20, he was gaunt, lesions dotting his arms like cruel tattoos, testing positive at a free clinic where the nurse's eyes said it all. Too late. That's when Dr. Daniel Hargrove entered their fractured orbit. At 35, Daniel was a ghost in scrubs, tall, angular, with salt and pepper hair and hazel eyes that saw through bullshit. A Harvard med alum who'd traded Park Avenue for the Bowery Clinic. He treated the invisible junkies, drag queens, the queer kids New York chewed up and spat out. Daniel himself carried scars. A lover lost to the epidemic in '87. His practice a quiet rebellion against the Reagan-era silence. He'd inked "No Regrets" on his forearm after the funeral, a talisman against the grief that still woke him at 3 a.m. David stumbled into the clinic on a muggy July afternoon in 1995, feverish and feral, collapsing in the waiting room amid stacks of Out magazine. Daniel caught him, literally, scooping the kid off the linoleum with arms that smelled of antiseptic and sandalwood. "Easy. I've got you," he said, voice like gravel wrapped in velvet. In the exam room, under fluorescent buzz, Daniel's gloved hands were gentle, mapping the Kaposi's sarcoma like a cartographer charting lost lands. "You're Alexander's brother," he noted, recognizing the jawline from a faded photo David clutched, a family portrait from better days, Elena beaming with 4 toddlers on her lap. Word spread like fire through dry grass. Alex showed up first, storming the clinic with coffee stains on his Mets jersey. "Fix him, Doc. Whatever it costs." Daniel met his gaze, unflinching. "It's not about fixing. It's about fighting, for all of you." Ben arrived next, stethoscope slung over his shoulder like a rifle, interning at Bellevue and grilling Daniel on AZT protocols. Chris called from Camp Lejeune, voice tinny over payphone static. "Tell Davy I'm coming home. Tell him we're Canes, we don't break." But it was Alex who lingered, pacing the halls during David's infusions, his broad shoulders a wall against the world. One evening, after rounds, Daniel found Alex in the rooftop garden, a concrete patch with wilting tomatoes and a view of the Williamsburg Bridge. Rain pattered on the tarp overhead, city lights smearing like oil paints. "You can't save us all," Alex said, lighting a Marlboro with shaking hands. Daniel leaned on the railing, close enough to feel the heat radiating off the younger man. "Who says I'm trying? David's the patient. The rest of you, you're collateral damage." Alex barked a laugh, bitter as black coffee. "Collateral? That's what Dad calls us. Mistakes he wishes he could abort." Daniel turned, their faces inches apart, rain dripping from his lashes. Then let's prove him wrong. Rewrite the story. Starting tonight. Their first kiss was a collision, desperate, tasting of nicotine and salt. Alex's calloused palms framing Daniel's face like it might vanish. It wasn't love. Not yet. It was survival. Two men grasping at buoyancy in a sea of loss. But in the weeks that followed, as David's T-cells dipped and climbed like a drunkard's path, Alex and Daniel carved out stolen hours. Diner booths at 2 a.m., debating Foucault over greasy eggs. Walks along the Hudson where Alex confessed the guilt of being the straight one, the protector who couldn't shield them all. "You're not straight," Daniel murmured one dawn, tracing Alex's knuckles. "You're just scared." Like I was. Ben watched it unfold with clinical detachment, charting fevers and flirtations in his notebook. "This'll end in flames," he warned Alex over beers at McSorley's, the sawdust floor sticky underfoot. "Doc's got walls a mile high. And Dad, if he finds out," Chris, on leave, clapped Alex on the back too hard. "Love who you love, bro. But don't drag us into your soap opera." David, from his hospice bed, just smiled weakly. "Finally, someone's seeing you, Alex." Not the fixer, the man, but Richard loomed like a thunderhead. Word got back through the neighborhood grapevine. Kane's eldest shacking up with some queer doctor, letting the pervert brother drag them all to hell. One crisp October night, he kicked in the clinic door, reeking of Jim Beam, veins bulging like rivers on a map. "Where's my boy?" he bellowed, shoving past the receptionist. Daniel met him in the hall, calm as a surgeon's blade. "David's resting. And Alexander's not your property." Richard's fist connected with Daniel's jaw, a crack like thunder. Alex burst from the break room, hurling his father against the wall. "Get out. You're the mistake here." The brothers rallied then, a fragile phalanx. Ben smuggled experimental protease inhibitors from pharma trials. Chris wired his hazard pay for private nursing. David rallied too, his sketches adorning the walls, portraits of them as superheroes, capes billowing over the skyline. "We're rewriting it," he rasped, pencil trembling. "No more mistakes. Just us." But as winter bit into the city, Richard's silence festered into something darker. He watched from the shadows, plotting his final betrayal, the kind that could shatter them forever. Thanksgiving came like a thief, slipping through the frost-laced windows of the Kane brothers' shared sublet in Astoria, a railroad apartment with peeling wallpaper and a kitchen that doubled as a war room. The table groaned under turkey from the corner bodega and canned cranberry sauce, but the air hummed with something sharper than gratitude, unspoken reckonings. David, propped on pillows in the living room, his frame a whisper of bones under the quilt Elena had sewn, raised a plastic cup of ginger ale. "To family," he toasted, voice a thread. "The one we choose." Alex, bandaging a fresh scrape from a cab fender bender, met Daniel's eyes across the room, those hazel depths pulling like gravity. "To rewriting history," Daniel echoed, his split lip from Richard's punch still swollen, a badge he wore without apology. The meal fractured midway. Chris, home on emergency leave after a training mishap in Kuwait, shrapnel grazing his thigh, pushed back his plate, fork clattering. "This fairy tale bullshit? It's gonna kill us." The room iced over. Ben shot him a glare, surgical scissors glinting as he trimmed David's nasal cannula. "Jealous much, soldier boy? At least Alex has balls to go after what he wants." Chris's laugh was ugly, serrated. Balls? He's fucking the Grim Reaper. Doc here's treating Davy like a lab rat, and Alex is lapping it up like a puppy. Alex lunged, chair toppling, but Daniel's hand on his arm was iron, steadying, not restraining. Let him talk. Hate's just fear in fatigues. David coughed, a wet rattle that silenced them. Stop. All of you. I dragged this virus home from the bars, thinking I was invisible. But you're visible now. To each other. His eyes, fever bright, locked on Alex. And to him, the him hung, a bridge between worlds. Daniel had become fixture, stocking the fridge with Ensure shakes, debating ethics with Ben over decaf, even sparring verbally with Chris about don't ask, don't tell. You're wasting your life on us, Chris had accused one night. Both of them buzzed on Rolling Rock in the fire escape. Daniel had shrugged, city lights painting his face in gold. Or saving it. Pick your poison. But the poison was spreading. Richard's visits escalated, lurking outside the clinic in his battered Chevy. Eyes red-rimmed like a wolf denied its kill. He'd corner Alex on smoke breaks, breath hot with venom. That Jew doctor putting ideas in your head? Turning you all queer. Daniel wasn't Jewish, but slurs were Richard's lingua franca, bludgeons for whatever bigotry festered in his gut. Alex shoved him away, heart pounding. Leave, Dad. Before I make you. Yet doubt wormed in, was this love or pity? Daniel, with his ex-lover's ghost in every gentle touch, seemed too whole for Alex's jagged edges. Christmas Eve brought the first crack. Snow blanketed Queens like forgiveness that wouldn't stick, and the brothers gathered at St. Mary's for midnight mass, a nod to Elena's faith, though God felt distant as the altar boy's incense. David, too weak for the pews, watched from home via Ben's camcorder feed, a jerry-rigged lifeline. Post-service, they trudged to a dive bar on Ditmars Boulevard, neon open sign buzzing like a hive. Daniel joined, uninvited but inevitable, his wool overcoat dusted white. Over mulled wine that tasted of cloves and regret. Stories spilled. Ben's internship horror tales, Chris's desert mirages, David's village escapades before the diagnosis. Alex pulled Daniel aside to the alley, where garbage bins loomed like sentinels. Marry me, he blurted, the words tumbling out amid swirling flakes. Daniel froze, breath clouding the air. Alex, you're 25. I'm pushing 40. This isn't. It is, Alex cut in, pressing a tarnished ring into Daniel's palm. Elena's, reclaimed from a pawnshop with his last cab tip. Not for show. For us. To say we're real. Daniel's fingers closed around it, throat working. Your father's watching. The world's watching. You sure you want this war? Alex kissed him then, fierce and claiming, snow melting on their lashes. Bring it. New Year's dawned brutal. David coded in the night, monitors shrieking like banshees. Ben revived him with epinephrine and prayers muttered in Latin. But the damage lingered, a pneumonia that rooted deep. Clinic visits blurred into a rhythm. For drips, cocktail trials, Daniel's voice a constant anchor. You're a fighter, Kane, he'd tell David, adjusting the morphine. All of you are. In quieter moments, he'd trace Alex's palm lines, reading futures neither believed in. This line here's your heart line, deep, but scarred. Like mine, Alex would pull him closer, Bodies aligning in the supply closet's dim glow, urgency masking the ache. Sex was sacrament there, sweat slick and whispered vows. Daniel's stubble grazing Alex's collarbone like forgiveness. Spring unfurled tentative. Cherry blossoms defiant against the brownstone stoops. The brothers planned a road trip, a pilgrimage to Ohio, to the farmhouse where Elena grew up, to bury her ashes and claim roots untainted by Richard. Rewrite the map, David insisted, stronger on Remeron. His sketches now vibrant oils of imagined futures. The four of them in capes, soaring over cornfields. Chris balked. I'm not playing house with queers. But relented. Guilt his chain. Ben mapped the route. Tireless. Alex and Daniel packed the old van, hands brushing over coolers of meds and hope. The drive was a pressure cooker, 8 hours of I-80, radio alternating Springsteen anthems and static. Chris drove first, jaw set, eyes flicking to the rearview where Alex and Daniel shared a bench seat, thighs pressed. Keep it PG. Lovebirds. He'd snap, but his grip whitened on the wheel. Ben narrated trivia, Elena's girlhood tales from yellowed letters, while David dozed, head on Alex's lap. Night fell near Toledo, motels neon-lit and cheap. In their room, doubles pushed together, the brothers crashed, but Alex slipped out to Daniel's truck, engine ticking cool. Missed you, Daniel murmured, pulling him into the cab, windows fogging with need. It was slower there, exploratory, Daniel's mouth mapping Alex's ribs like braille, eliciting gasps that echoed the freight trains rumbling past. I love you, Alex confessed post-climax, spent and vulnerable. Daniel held him, silent, the words a weight he wasn't ready to match. Ohio welcomed with rain-slicked fields, the farmhouse a sagging relic, peeling paint, porch swing creaking like bones. Elena's sister, Aunt May, greeted them with pie and tears, her Bible-thumping warmth a balm. They scattered ashes under the old oak. David's hand steady as he recited a eulogy Ben had penned. She carried 4 miracles, not mistakes. And in them, she lives. Laughter followed, Chris recounting marine pranks, Ben geeking over heirloom seeds. But Richard's shadow intruded via telegram. Funeral's mine. Stay away. Faggots. Alex crumpled it. Fire in his veins. He's poison. We cut him out. Back in New York. Summer scorched the asphalt. And betrayal brewed. Chris, restless, re-enlisted early, Gulf deployment looming. Over farewell beers at the local Irish pub, he cornered Daniel. Keep Alex safe. Or I'll bury you. It was brotherly, rough-edged. But Daniel saw the fracture. Chris's own secrets. Letters from a barracks lover burned in the sink. Ben's internship hardened him too, witnessing queer patients denied care, fueling his resolve for reform. David painted feverishly, murals on the apartment walls, the brothers as titans, Daniel woven in as the sun. August brought the storm. Richard, evicted and desperate, tracked them to the clinic. He didn't come alone, 2 goons from the VFW, burly and boozed, itching for a scrap. They ambushed Daniel in the parking garage, pipes swinging. Teach my boys to be pansies? Time to learn. Daniel fought dirty, knee to groin, elbow to throat, but numbers won. Alex arrived to the melee, wrenching one off, his cab keys gouging flesh. Dad! Stop! Richard turned, eyes wild. He's the devil. Boy. poisoning you all. The brawl spilled onto the street. Sirens wailing. Brothers converging like avengers. Ben with a tire iron. Chris fresh from Penn Station. David in a wheelchair Ben had commandeered. Cops hauled Richard away, cuffs biting his wrists. "You'll regret this," he spat at Alex. "Family's blood." He ain't. In the ER. Daniel's ribs cracked, stitches marching across his brow. Alex sat vigil, holding his hand as morphine dulled the edges. "Worth it," Daniel slurred, thumb brushing Alex's knuckles. Every bruise, that night, in the hospital bed's narrow confines, they made love quietly, fingers interlaced, breaths sinking like heartbeats. "Stay," Alex begged. Daniel's eyes, pain-glazed, softened. "I'm not going anywhere," but betrayal's blade was sharpening. Chris, packing for deployment, slipped Richard bail money. "One last chance. Dad. Get clean." He told no one, thinking it mercy. Ben discovered the bank slip, confrontation exploding in the kitchen. "You're feeding the monster," Chris roared back. "And you're playing God with pills. Dad's all we got left." David overheard, shattering his latest canvas, their faces smeared in rage red. "We're losing each other," he wept. Alex, torn, confronted Daniel. "Am I enough? Or am I just your redemption project?" Daniel pulled him close, foreheads touching. "You're my rewrite. The only one that matters." As leaves turned, the family teetered. David's counts plummeted again, a resistance strain mocking their efforts. Clinic protests raged outside, ACT UP chants echoing Daniel's resolve. Inside, love deepened. Alex moving into Daniel's walk-up in the village, bookshelves mingling with boxing gloves. Mornings were coffee and crosswords. Daniel's laugh rare but resonant when Alex botched a clue. "Idiot," he'd tease, kissing the nape of Alex's neck. Nights were anchors, Daniel's body a map Alex memorized, scars and all. Yet Richard's release loomed like a guillotine. Word came via Ben's contact at the precinct. Out on good behavior, heading straight for them. "He's got nothing left to lose," Ben warned. Chris shipped out silent, a letter in Alex's pocket. "Protect them." "I'm sorry." David rallied for one last family summit, gathered around his bed like knights at a round table. "No more secrets. We choose us." Nods rippled, fists bumping. But as October winds howled, Richard's Chevy idled blocks away, engine a growl of impending doom. Halloween night in the village pulsed with abandon. Drag queens in fishnets strutting past jack-o'-lanterns, bass thumping from warehouse parties like a second heartbeat. The Canes barricaded the apartment, windows papered against prying eyes. But festivity seeped in, David's carved pumpkins grinning defiantly on the stoop. Daniel arrived with takeout Thai and a bottle of Cabernet. To drown the ghosts, not summon them. Laughter flowed easier than wine. Ben recounting a med school prank involving formaldehyde jello. David sketching their costumes as undead presidents, Lincoln with a rainbow sash. Alex, in Daniel's arms on the fire escape, watched fireworks bloom over the Hudson. "Feels normal," he murmured. Daniel nuzzled his temple. "Normal's overrated." "This is us." Richard struck at dawn. All Saints' Day irony thick as fog. He didn't knock. Burst through the door with a crowbar, splintering the frame like trust. "Surprise. Sons." The word twisted, venomous. Ben lunged from the kitchen, coffee mug shattering. David shrieked from the bedroom, monitors beeping frenzy. Alex barreled in, tackling Richard mid-swing, the crowbar clanging free. "What the hell, Dad?" Richard bucked him off, face purpled with hate. Cleaning house. Starting with the leech, his eyes fixed on Daniel, emerging from the bathroom towel-clad, unarmed. The goons were gone, rehab or jail, but Richard's rage was legion. The fight was biblical. Richard's haymaker glancing Daniel's shoulder, Alex's counter splitting his father's brow. Ben dialed 911, voice steady as sutures. David wheeled himself out. For pole a battering ram, jabbing Richard's thigh. "Stop! We're your blood," Richard roared, shoving the chair, David toppling, head cracking on the baseboard. Time fractured. Alex's howl, Daniel's sprint to David's side, Ben's compress staunching the gash. Richard paused, crowbar limp, horror dawning. Davy, but momentum carried him. A final swing at Daniel, who dodged, pipe-glancing ribs already bruised. Cops swarmed, tasers crackling. Richard went down thrashing, cuffs biting anew. "Monsters, all of ya!" he bellowed as they dragged him. In the ambulance, David clung to Alex, blood matting his curls. "Did I rewrite it wrong?" Daniel, pale under the sirens, cupped his face. "No, kid. You made it right." Air triage was chaos, CT scans clear. But concussion loomed, Daniel's x-rays confirming fractures. Alex paced the hall, fists bloodied, Chris's letter burning in his pocket like accusation. Ben cornered him. He got bail from Chris. That's why. Betrayal landed like a gut punch. "Our hero," Alex spat, dialing the base. Chris's CO answered. "Deployed. Radio silent." Days blurred in recovery's haze. David stabilized, but pneumonia deepened, oxygen mask fogging his breaths. Daniel discharged against advice, rigging a home setup with clinic gear, tubes snaking like veins. "You're staying?" Ben asked, skeptical. Daniel nodded, unpacking a duffel in the spare room. "Family's a verb, not a noun. Nights." He'd read to David Hemingway's Islands, voices drifting like smoke. Alex watched from the doorway, chest tight. This man, who'd lost so much, choosing their mess. Gratitude twisted into fear. What if Richard's blade cut deeper? November elections buzzed. Clinton's re-election a queer win with the Defense of Marriage whisper. But the Canes tuned out, cocooned in Astoria's gray. Ben aced his boards, landing a residency at Mount Sinai. Whispers of specializing in infectious diseases. Daniel's shadow long. "You're copying the old man," Alex teased over dinner. "Pad Thai from the spot down the block." Ben smirked. "Nah. Improving the model." David, appetite flickering back, demanded stories, Elena's recipes, Richard's war yarns sanitized. "Make him human," he urged. Alex tried, but the word soured, hero to villain in one arc. The betrayal festered. Chris's letters arrived sporadic, foxhole scrawl from the sandbox. "Dad promised to go AA. For you guys. Forgive me?" Alex burned one in the sink, flames licking blue. Daniel found him there, soot-streaked. "Hate's heavy. Alex. Put it down." They argued then. First real fracture. Alex accusing Daniel of saintly detachment. Daniel retorting Alex's walls were Fort Knox. "I gave you the ring," Alex yelled, hurling it across the room. It skittered under the fridge, glinting like a lost tooth. Daniel retrieved it, pressing it back. And I wear it in here, hand over heart. They made up on the couch, urgent and raw, Alex atop, claiming dominance to mask vulnerability. Daniel yielding with a gasp that mended something. Thanksgiving redux was subdued. Hospital cafeteria turkey. David wheeled in. No toast, just hands clasped under the table. Ben's clinical grip. Alex's calloused. Daniel's steady. We're survivors, David said, eyes on the window's falling leaves. Like Mom, Elena's ghost lingered, humanistic thread weaving their frayed tapestry. Post-meal, Daniel pulled Alex to the chapel, a dim alcove with votives flickering. Marry me here, he proposed. Ring reclaimed. No fanfare. Just us. Alex's yes was a sob. Vows whispered over a dog-eared Bible. In sickness, in health, in betrayal, in grace. Winter gripped tighter. David's decline a slow bleed. Holiday lights twinkled mockingly. Salvation Army Santas rattling bells outside the clinic. Daniel's practice swelled. Patients drawn by rumors of the gay doc who fights dirty. Protests peaked. Daniel chained to the doors with ACT up, Alex bailing him out at dawn. My hero? Alex murmured in the cruiser, lips brushing knuckles. But Homefront cracked. Ben discovered Chris's wire transfers continued, siphoning deployment pay to Richard's legal fund. He's buying his way back in, Ben hissed. Alex confronted the mirror, dialing a Red Cross operator. Message relayed. Tell him we're done. Blood or not. Christmas Eve. David rallied for carols. Off-key silent night in the living room. Tree a Charlie Brown skewer from the lot. Gifts were practical. Ben's stethoscope engraved rewrite. Daniel's leather journal for Alex's poetry scribbles. Cabrighter vignettes turned verse. David's for Daniel. A portrait. The doctor as Phoenix. Flames licking wings. You burned for us, he explained. Tears pricked Daniel's eyes, rare vulnerability. That night, after Ben crashed and David dozed, Alex and Daniel slipped to the roof. Snow dusted their shoulders, city a blanket of glow. I love you, Daniel said finally, the words Alex had chased. They made love under stars smog-veiled. Bodies a defiant warmth, slow, reverent. Daniel's hands mapping Alex's spine like scripture. New Year's brought omens. Fireworks popped distant as David's fever spiked. Delirium painting visions. Elena dancing, Richard weeping. Ben pumped antibiotics. Daniel adjusting vents. He's slipping, Ben admitted, defeat cracking his voice. Alex refused, holding vigil, Daniel's head on his shoulder. We fight, he echoed. Dawn broke gray. David stabilized, but the cost tallied, lung scarred, spirit frayed. Promise me, he wheezed to Alex. Don't let him win. The rewrite. Alex nodded, throat tight. January thawed secrets. Richard's lawyer called probation hearing. Character witnesses needed. Ben refused. Daniel offered testimony. He's a danger. To himself. Most of all, Alex wavered, old loyalties tugging. One talk. Closure. Daniel's eyes darkened. Closure's a myth. It's a door you chain. But Alex went, alone, to the courthouse steps, Richard in orange, gaunt as David. Son, he croaked, chains rattling. I was wrong. The mistakes. They were mine. Alex's heart lurched. Forgiveness a siren. Prove it. Stay away. Richard nodded. Tears carving tracks. For Elena. Lies. Of course. February's freeze mirrored the chill. Richard violated terms. Tailing Ben from Sinai. A fender bender staged. Ben's beater totaled. Richard heroically pulling him free. Ben rebuffed. But seeds of doubt. Maybe he's changed. Alex raged. He's a chameleon. Not reformed. Daniel mediated. Calm as ever. Trust your gut. Not his crocodile tears. Romance strained under it, arguments spiking. Makeup sex bruising. Am I losing you? Alex asked one storm-lashed night. Rain lashing pains. Daniel pulled him close. Only if you let go. Spring equinox aligned fates. David, ambulatory on good days, demanded a outing Central Park cherry blossoms. Wheelchair path crunching. Brothers flanked him. Daniel pushing. Laughter bubbling like forgotten joy. Picnic under the arches. Sandwiches. Frisbee. Ben's bad puns. Why'd the virus cross the road? To infect the other side. Groans. But genuine. A street performer juggled fire. David sketched furiously. This, he said. This is the rewrite. Photo snapped. 5 faces. Windswept. Elena's smile in their eyes. But betrayal crested. Chris's VOQ call from Duran. Dad's clean. AA meetings. Job at the docks. Give him a shot. Then the bomb. I told him about you and the doc. Thought it'd light a fire under him. Alex's world tilted. You outed me? To him. Silence. Then, for family. Man. Real family. Hung up. Alex stormed the streets. Fists clenched. Daniel found him at the pier. Waves slapping pilings. He sold me out. Daniel enveloped him. Coat flapping. Then we buy back in. Together. Climax brewed in April showers. Richard, emboldened, petitioned custody, claiming David unfit under moral decay. Court date loomed. Ben lawyered up pro bono via Lambda Legal. He's grasping, Daniel assured, but worry etched lines deeper. David confronted it head-on. Let him come. I'll testify. No more hiding. Rehearsals in the living room. David's voice gaining strength. Brothers coaching. Alex and Daniel's bond tempered in fire. Nights of strategy and solace. Bodies entwined as armor. Whatever comes, Daniel vowed. Ring glinting. We face it. The hearing dawned muggy. Federal courthouse a colossus. Richard in ill-fitting suit. Eyes darting. Witnesses piled. His AA sponsor paid. Ben uncovered. Neighbors bribed. Then David wheeled in. Tubes discreet. Gaze steel. He called us mistakes. He began. Voice carrying. But mistakes teach. Dad taught me fear. My brothers. Love. Dr. Hargrove. He taught forgiveness. Richard blanched. Judge leaned in. Alex testified next. Unflinching. Blood don't make family. Actions do. Daniel's turn. Clinical. Cutting. Mr. Kane's violence endangers. I've seen the charts. The bruises. Richard's cross. You're the poison. Seducing my boys. Gavel fell. Petition denied. Restraining order ironclad. Richard lunged. Deputies swarming. In the hall. He cornered Alex. You'll burn for this. But the fire was his later that night. A bender. Car wrapped around a pole. Coma. I see you. Brothers debated. Mercy or justice? David decided. Visit. End it right. May's warmth mocked the ICU's chill. Beeps monotonic as Richard's labored breaths. Machines puppeteering his husk. The brothers filed in like pallbearers. David first. Wheelchair humming. Hand hovering over the rail. Dad, he whispered. Voice a bridge over abyss. We forgive. But we move on. Richard's eyes fluttered. Unfocused, morphine dreams or regret. Alex lingered last. Daniel at his elbow. Why'd you hate us so? No answer. Just a twitch. Outside. In the hospital garden's tentative green. Alex shattered, sobs racking. Daniel's arms insufficient dam. He broke us, Alex gasped. Daniel rocked him. And we mended stronger. David's uptick followed. Ironic mercy. Spring trials blooming. Counts climbing like ivy. Karma's a bitch, he joked, ditching the chair for a walker. Rehab walks in Astoria Park, brothers trading shifts. Daniel's arm steadying. Ben's residency kicked off triumphant. First solo procedure. A queer kid's appendectomy. Post-op high fives. Chris rotated stateside. Leave burning. Awkward reunion at the apartment. Bear hugs masking scars. I fucked up, he admitted over pizza. Eyes down. Outing you. Thought it'd force his hand. Alex clapped his shoulder. Lesson learned. We're even. Forgiveness. Humanistic glue. Binding without erasure. Romance for Alex and Daniel deepened roots. June wedding whispers. City Hall elopement. Rooftop reception. But Daniel hesitated, ghosts of his past lover. Mark. Surfacing in quiet hours. He died hating the hiding. Daniel confessed one dawn. Sheets tangled. Promised myself no more cages. Alex traced his jaw. This ain't a cage. It's a home. They compromised. Commitment ceremony at the farmhouse. Aunt May officiating in rainbow stole procured from a village shop. Ohio Drive was cathartic. Van loaded with coolers. David's meds stabilized. Chris shotgun navigating. Laughter laced the miles. Chris's boot camp ditties. Ben's audiobooks on queer history. Farmhouse bloomed under May's hand. Wisteria draping the porch. Elena's quilt as altar cloth. Vows exchanged under the oak. Alex in linen shirt. Daniel in chinos. Rings exchanged anew. Elena's for Alex. Mark's for Daniel. Symbols bridged. I rewrite with you, Alex pledged. Daniel's reply. In your light. I heal. Kiss sealed. Whoops from the brothers. David confetti tossing from his seat. Reception. Potluck picnic. Fiddler strumming American Pie. Chris danced with Ben. Awkward two-step. David sketched the tableau. Forever captured. Night fell starry. Lovemaking in the guest room. Slow. Sacred. Alex whispering devotions into Daniel's skin. Back in New York. Summer sizzled. Clinic thrived. Daniel's paper on compassionate care hit the Lancet. Ben co-author beaming. Alex quit cabs for union organizing warehouse gigs. Fighting for fair pay. Fire in his veins. Like Dad's marine grit. But for the little guy, he'd quip. Dates wove whimsy. Coney Island hot dogs. Nathan's laughter amid cyclone screams. Met rooftop jazz. Daniel's head on Alex's lap under twilight. Intimacy evolved, less frenzy. More poetry. Mornings with mutual explorations. Fingers learning curves like sonnets. David's miracle peaked July 4th. Fireworks over the East River. Him upright, lungs clear. Remission, Ben queried scans. Daniel shrugged, hopeful. Call it grace. Block party bash. Brothers grilling. Neighbors mingling. Chris's war stories sanitized for kids. But undercurrents stirred. Richard's coma persistent. Hospice transfer looming. We owe him a goodbye, David insisted. Visit scheduled. Entire clan. ICU room felt smaller. Richard emaciated. Monitors dirge. David led. We love you. Mistakes and all. Richard's hand squeezed faint. Absolution? Chris broke first. Tears splashing. Sorry, Dad. Alex held Daniel's. Anchor steady. August heat wave tested. Power outages blacked the city. Clinic generator hummed. Daniel triaging sweat slick. Alex volunteered. Hauling ice packs. Their eyes meeting over fevered brows. Partners in chaos. Home cooled by fans. Bodies seeking shade. Lazy afternoons in bed. Exploring with ice cubes trailing spines. Gasps melting tension. You're my cool, Daniel murmured. Lips on Alex's hip. Betrayal's echo faded. Chris funneled pay to David's art fund. Ben mentored clinic teens. Humanistic arc bent toward light. Flaws acknowledged. Not erased. September's equinox brought turning. Richard rallied. Improbable tubes out. Words slurred but sentient. Sons, he rasped at family meeting. May mediating. I was the mistake. Booze. Pride. Lost your mom. Then you. Apologies tumbled. Raw to David for the slurs. Alex for the fists. All for the neglect. Can I try? Chris advocated. Ben skeptical. David, heart compass, nodded. Supervised. Slow. Richard entered rehab upstate. Letters weekly, halting script. Progress reports. Alex read aloud to Daniel. Healing's hell. But for you boys. Daniel's brow furrowed. Skeptical, but hopeful. Like medicine. Fall foliage frame change. David's exhibit at a village co-op. Rewrites. A Kane legacy. Canvases ablaze with their saga. Fractured family to Phoenix flight. Opening night buzzed. Critics. Queers. Even a Times blurb. Daniel toasted. To the artist who taught us vision. Alex, proud, pulled him to the alley for a stolen kiss. Art smells clinging. My muse, Alex breathed. Love's depth plumbed, vulnerability shared. Daniel opening Mark's letters. Alex confessing boyhood crushes buried. Sex as communion, positions fluid. Trust absolute. Climaxes crashing like waves. October's chill nipped. Richard's first pass. Thanksgiving parole. May's farmhouse neutral ground. Tension crackled like dry leaves. Table set with Elena's china. Turkey golden. Richard arrived sober. Suit pressed. Eyes haunted. Graces said. Forks clinked. Talk tiptoed. Weather. David's show. Then Chris bridged. Tell us about Mom. The good. Richard's voice warmed. Courting tales. Elena's laugh like bells. David probed gentle. And us? The quads. Richard's paws stretched. Then, scariest joy. For heartbeats. Like thunder. I failed you. Tears fell. Alex's hand found Daniel's under table. Solidarity. Dessert thawed. Pie shared. Stories overlapping. Richard to Daniel, "You saved him." "Thank you." Gruff, but genuine. "Drive home." Alex exhaled. Miracle 2.0. November elections echoed 96. Clinton landslide. Queer gains glinting. Ben's paper with Daniel published. Co-attribution a bridge. Clinic expanded. Grant funded. Alex organized a benefit. Proceeds for AIDS research. David's strength waxed. Walker ditched. Sketches turning commissions. Chris extended leave. Bartending local. Flirting with a barback named Rico. First admission. Maybe I'm not so straight arrow. Brothers ribbed gentle. Acceptance woven. December's hush healed. Richard's second visit. Christmas at Astoria. Tree aglow. Gifts modest. Richard's whittled birds. One per son. Fragile, but free. David reciprocated with portraits. Richard as sentinel. Not storm. Caroling post-dinner. Voices blending off-key. Daniel's baritone anchoring. Snow fell soft. Walk home. Arms linked. Family constellation reformed. Bed that night. Alex and Daniel slow danced nude. Bodies swaying to phantom strings. Happily ever? Alex teased. Daniel's smile crooked. Humanly ever. That's enough. New Year crested gentle. Richard's release full job at a garage. AA steady. Visits routine. Boundaries firm. David scans pristine. Ben matched fellowships. Eyeing CDC. Chris and Rico official. Double dates awkward fun. Alex and Daniel's anniversary. City Hall redo. Rings recast, gold bands etched rewrite. Honeymoon pocket. P-Town weekend. Dunes and drag shows. Lovemaking salty with sea air. Spring 97 bloomed verdant. David's first solo show. Soho Gallery sold outs. Buzz electric. Richard attended. Suit starched. Applause mingling tears. Proud, he mouthed to Alex. Post-reception. Brothers plus Daniel plus Richard at a diner. Booths tight. Laughter loose. Toasts to Elena. To rewrites. Betrayal's scar faded. Humanistic proof. People pivot. Given grace. But life layered nuance. Daniel's past resurfaced. Mark's sister visiting. Boxes of memories unpacked. He'd like you, she said, hugging Alex. Grief shared deepened bonds. Alex's poetry chapbook self-published. Daniel's foreword. Voice of the mended. Sex evolved playful role reversals. Toys from a discreet shop. Trust's playground. Summer solstice summit. Family retreat to the farmhouse. All in. Hikes. Heart to hearts. Richard fishing with David. Stories unburdened. Chris came out full. Rico in tow. Richard's handshake firm. Welcome, son. Alex and Daniel canoed dawn. Water glass smooth. This the end? Alex asked. Daniel dipped or? Nah. Just chapter 2. Autumn 97 gilded edges. David's diagnosis shifted paradigm. Chronic. Not terminal. Cocktail refined. Life a horizon not cliff. He mentored clinic youth. Sketch circles therapeutic. Ben's CDC post secured. Infectious disease crusade launched. Chris proposed to Rico in the sandbox. Alex best man. Tears at the vows. From betrayal to this. Richard walked him. Uniform pressed. Nod to progress. Alex and Daniel's rhythm hummed domestic. Village brownstone purchased. Joint bookshelves groaning. Kitchen herbs thriving. Mornings. Coffee grinds, crosswords collaborative, Alex's versus pinned fridge, Daniel's charts beside. Evenings, runs along the reservoir, sweat cooling to confessions. Intimacy's palette broadened, tantric nights, breaths synced, playful mornings, quickies over sink suds. My forever rewrite, Daniel murmured post-glow, fingers tracing Alex's tattoo, Quad's constellation inked shoulder. Winter solstice brought bundling. Richard's first sober holiday host, Astoria tree trimming, lights strung collaborative. David's ornaments, painted miracles, for bulbs for them, fifth for Elena. Caroling evolved jazz, Daniel's sax borrowed, improv riffs. New Year's Eve, rooftop bash, cityscape fireworks syncing heartbeats. Alex pulled Daniel close amid cheers. 10 years from now, Daniel's hazel warmed. Still us. Deeper, 98 dawned activist. Daniel testified congressional marriage equality seed sown. Alex unionized the garage. Richard's shop first signer. Fair's fair. Sun. Pride March. Brothers rainbowed. David on float sketching live. Chris and Rico honeymooned Fire Island. Postcards saucy. Ben dated a virologist. Sparks intellectual. Spring unearthed buried. Mark's anniversary. Daniel's quiet. Alex holding space. Pier walk. Waves eulogy. Grief's not linear, Daniel said. Alex kissed temple. But love is. Their own milestone. Vow renewal under oak. Intimate family witnesses. Vows updated. In growth. In gray. Reception bonfire. Stories circling. Richard's marine grit repurposed. David's art as activism. Summer heat tempered growth. David's mural commission. Hospital lobby. Rewrites theme. Family's phoenix rising. Unveiling gala. Mayor's nod. Press flash. Richard cornered Daniel. Owe you everything. Gruff clasp. Alex overheard. Chest swell full circle. Fall harvest festival. Farmhouse fair. Maize pies. Brothers competing pie eating. Chris victorious. Sauce smeared grin. Talks deepened. Richard's AA amends. Elena's letters read aloud. David proposed book. Quad mistake. A rewrite. Ghostwritten Ben. Illustrated self. Publisher bite. Advance modest but mighty. 99 cusp. Millennium fever. Y2K prep humorous. Ben's bunker jokes. Stockpiles sardines. Alex and Daniel escaped to the Cape. Dunes whispering. Lovemaking marathon. Days blurred. Bodies canvas, explorations tender. Fierce. End of world. Alex panted. Daniel laughed low. Just ours beginning. New millennium dawn seamless, no apocalypse. Just champagne brunches. David's book launch. Barnes and Noble signing. Lines snaking. Dedication. To mistakes that mended. Richard front row. Book clutched. Post party. Walk home snow-dusted. Arms linked chain. Years layered like sedimentary truth. By 2005, David owned gallery. Partner Javier wedding small. Brothers teary. Ben headed division. Husband virologist. Twins adopted. Chris commanded platoon. Rico civilian life, kids via surrogate. Barbecues boisterous. Richard remarried gentle widow. Grandkids doting. Alex and Daniel's arced steady. Practice partnership. Brownstone expanded. Sunroom studio. Alex's poems collected. Daniel's memoirs ghosted. Sex sage seasoned. Weekends away. Rediscoveries. Daily devotions. Touches fluent. Anniversaries. Travels, Paris cafes. Tokyo onsens, worlds rewritten together. 2010s brought tides. Obergefell joy. March arm in arm. David's TED Talk viral. From mistake to masterpiece. Richard's passing quiet. Heart. At 78. Funeral eulogy Alex's. He learned late, but loved loud. Graveside. Brothers plus Daniels. Closure Clay. 2020s tested resilient. Pandemic echoes. Daniel frontline again. Alex masking deliveries. David's virtual exhibit soared. Ben's vaccines pivotal. Chris retired general. Advocacy queer troops. Zoom family dinners bridged miles. Laughter firewall. By 2025. Silver threaded. Alex 55. Daniel 65. Brownstone hearth. Garden tended. David's 60th bash. Retrospective. Walls alive. Vows renewed casual backyard. Cake candlelit. Still rewriting? Alex asked. Rings clinking. Daniel's smile crinkled. Every damn day. Legacy lingered humanistic. Not flawless, but forged. Quadruplets. Once mistakes. Authors now history theirs. Love the ink. Daniel's last clinic note. Patient. Family cane. Prognosis. Eternal. Fade to skyline. Brothers silhouetted. Unbreakable. In the alley that started it all. Rain slick 95. Alex and Daniel walked yearly. Ghosts saluted. We did it, Alex said. Hand warm. Daniel squeezed. We do it. And, not. Just the pause before next chapter.